I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program that brings you the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the little g, all of the good things that people do to put that gospel of life into action. One of the great plagues in our society, unfortunately, is sex trafficking. We've talked about this in the past, and it's something that it affects every community, and sometimes in places where you would least expect it, it is happening. It's not just something that you say it's only in bad neighborhoods or in poor neighborhoods or in some out-of-the-way place. You might live in a very wealthy area, and there might be a home right next door to you that someone owns and has, well, slaves, sex slaves in those homes. And then we ask, where do they come from? Well, a lot of times people say, well, they only come from South America, Central America, China. Well, no. They come from right here in our own country, too. Now, certainly there are certain places which would have a higher number of people coming in from different countries, and a lot of the port cities are especially notorious for that. But as I said, it is a plague. It enslaves women, young, and sometimes even older women, who are in some way tricked, duped, into falling into the hands of evil people. These are evil people who try to get control of the lives of women and sometimes even men, so that they can use them as things, chattel, sell them in order to make money. Sometimes it can lead to not just sin, not just emotional and mental distress. Sometimes it could even lead to sickness and death. And therefore, we have to do something about it. And that's why today I have on Betty Lara. She is from Glory House of Miami to talk to us about her organization. She's the director, Glory House, and what they do in order to rescue these people from the clutches, literally, of evil. So, Betty, welcome. It's so nice to have you on our program today. Can you tell us something about, first of all, how serious is sex trafficking in your area, the Miami area?
Well, Father, in Florida alone, just the whole state of Florida, we're like the third largest area where sex trafficking happens. And, Miami's one of the top cities because this happens in, large cities, small too, but mainly in large cities where there's a lot of, trafficking, people coming in and out. So in Florida, like I said, it's the third largest state where human trafficking happens. But they bring them in just temporarily because these girls are always traveling, from place to place.
So they move them around all over the country.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That's very hard for law enforcement to try to track that down.
Correct.
And how terrifying it must be for these girls, women, to be moved from place to place. And then they'd be moved quite often once they finish using them in one place, they move them someplace else.
They move into another city. Exactly.
So they're kind of even disoriented, and they're unable then to even help themselves. How do I get out of this? Who do I go to? Who do I talk to? Who do I tell?
Yes. And a lot of them, there's the big umbrella, right, of human trafficking, right? But under that umbrella, there's sex trafficking, there's labor trafficking, and there's organ trafficking. And we're not gonna talk about organ trafficking because, of course, that doesn't happen as much here in the United States, but it does happen. But under labor trafficking, the women that are brought to this country that are promised, right, better jobs, better life, they get their papers taken away. So that's how they coerce them. That's how they force them. That's how they use them. They say, okay, now we have your papers. Now you're going to work for us. And if you don't, then we're going to, we're going to report you to the police because you don't have legal papers. And so basically what they do is they instill a lot of fear. It's very fear-based. A lot of these pimps are always, we're going to kill your family. Sometimes we're going to even kill you. So that it's very, very fear-based so that they can see they're not trapped like this. They're trapped here, right? They're trapped here. And a lot of pimps give them drugs so that they can rely on them because, once you get addicted to any type of drug, you want more, right? So then I have to stay with you because I need that drug.
So some of them might be coming in with papers legally. Yes. And they get them a work visa. What are they? A work visa?
Yeah.
They take it away from them. Yes. Say, you have no papers. You're undocumented now.
Correct.
And you have to stick with us.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
All right. So we talked about a little bit about the sex trafficking, how they use them, and you said, of course, they introduce them to drugs too, and make them dependent on drugs.
Yes.
But then you also brought up something else that I really have not given much thought to: labor trafficking. And tell us what's that about?
Well, imagine, Father, how many people are in this country that come for a better life, and yet they don't have papers. So, they go to places like Central Florida, orange groves, like Homestead down in Miami, where there's a lot of farming, factories, massage, parlors, sometimes strip clubs. And those people are here to work, but they're making minimum wages, right? So then they make them work more than they have to for the minimum wage. And then they also abuse them on top of that. So they really they're very controlled because they're very limited into what they can do when they come to this country, just because of the fact that they don't have papers to work and they can't get a regular job like most people do.
Now, they get hooked into this, and they have lost control of their freedom, lost control of their lives, and they have their dignity taken away from them.
Yes.
Now, how would they extricate themselves from this situation and then go to you at Glory House? How does this happen?
Well, it's very hard because they don't trust anybody and they're very fearful. So when when you've been trafficked, let's say for 5-10 years, this is the life that you've known, is extremely difficult. But that's where police officers come in. That's where the state attorney's office comes in. That's where Homeland Security comes in. That's where the FBI come in. That's where, other nonprofits that are doing the same thing, they come in. They basically do raids. Sometimes the girls can get away. Sometimes they do get away. We had a 19-year-old that the pimp went out and he happened to leave the keys. And so she just picked up the keys and left with, girlfriend. Those are rare. Usually they're raids or, the police is always like you said, you started at the beginning of the program. You can live in a neighborhood and there can be a very nice house next to you and they could be trafficked right next to you. So, police officers are aware of that, people that report. And so they basically, then they take that area and they scout the neighborhood, or they watch the house, and eventually they raid, and then they take the ladies out, and then they refer them out to other organizations such as ours. That's how we, some of the girls end up in jail because they get caught for prostitution, let's say out in the streets. So they end up in jail for prostitution. And then in jail, they offer them rehabilitation places like ours.
Okay,
so we get referrals.
How
for
do they
many
get in
places.
touch? Who gets in touch with you? Is it some social agency? Is it the police? Or can a girl just say, I want to go to Glory House? How would she know?
Yes, well, all of the above.
Okay.
We've had survivors call us directly. They need services, so of course, we provide services. We've had nonprofit organizations call us because they've worked with them for, let's say, a 90-day period, and we have a long-term facility. So then they come to us to live with us for a year to 2 years.
Okay, so you have actually residents there.
Correct.
And how many are you able to hold? How many people are able to stay with
we
you?
can hold 8, but we have the first few years we've kept it at 4 at a time because they're so traumatized that they actually what's the word that I'm trying to think? They trigger each other because a lot of them a lot of them come with, they want to cut themselves, or they're depressed, or they can't sleep at night, or they have anger issues. I mean, this is all the trauma that they have, right? And so if you put a lot of these women, like let's say pack a house with a lot of these women, it's very, very, very difficult to work with them. There's secondary trauma for the caregivers as well, because you're always listening to the stories that they're telling you. This guy beat me. This guy tried to kill me. This guy put a gun to my head. This guy raped me 10 times. And so it's very, we try to restrict it to a lower number because we want to go deeper with them. Father, you know what it is? What we do, basically what our mission is to work with these women to provide a safe place for them to get healed of the heart and restored.
Okay, certainly, it's a monumental task that Glory House has in, first of all, accepting these women, whether the police refer them or social agencies or somehow God moves them to Glory House. They come there, and you're talking about a population that's going to be very wounded psychologically, maybe oftentimes physically wounded, and spiritually wounded. Now, what do you provide at Glory House for them to help heal what's taken place?
Right. Well, of course, you know that we're a nonprofit and that we are a Christian organization, and we believe that Jesus heals, right? Otherwise, I don't believe I would be doing this job, to be quite honest with you, because it's really a monumental task. So when they come to the home, we basically, the first thing that we offer is all of their basic needs, right? If you live only in survival mode, you're going from place to place. You've never had any stability in your life. You've had to sell your body for your basic needs. That's what we do, a place where they come and they start getting their basic needs, and they can start trusting us, so then we can move forward in their healing process. So we pretty much offer everything. We offer spiritual healing. We have, trying to think of the word, curriculums that have already been put together specifically for survivors of human trafficking for trauma.
Could you just tell me about the curriculum for healing? You say you're a Christian organization. How does religion, how does Scripture, Jesus, fit into that healing process?
Yeah, that's the foundation of our ministry. We have Bible studies. We teach them the love of God. We teach them how to love themselves. We teach them that they were created to be very, very special, that they are amazing. So we do healing through, scriptures, through these curriculums. There's curriculums that have been written, Christian curriculums by survivors themselves. We also do a lot of other things that are very healing, that are, of course, we encourage them to go to church, we provide mentors. Most of our volunteers are Christians. So slowly but surely, they see that we care for them, we love them, we walk life with them, and even it takes them a while. That's why we open a long-term program. It takes them a while. So we're there consistently when they're mad, when they're angry, when they're not having a good day, when they're having a bad day. And so they see this, and so they start opening their hearts to Jesus.
What about professional psychological help?
Absolutely.
And will somebody come in to Glory House
Yes.
and provide that, or do they go someplace?
Yes, we have a lot of pro bono providers that offer trauma counseling. So, we have partnerships. This is all about partnerships because Glory House cannot provide everything that they need, right? So if they have to go to a counselor, then they go outside the home for trauma counseling. They actually have to go, if they come live with us, they have to have trauma counseling once a week. A lot of them are in medication, so they have to go to psychologists so that they can provide, a medication temporarily until they get, better. We have art therapy. We have, things in the home and outside the home, mostly outside the home, Father, because we want the home to be a safe place and a place for them that it's not people coming in and out,
Right.
They've never had a home.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you talked originally about a lot of them are seduced by drugs. They give them drugs. And so I guess many of them will be addicts by the time they come to you. How do you help them get over the addiction?
Yeah, we're not a detox program. This is usually the process of a survivor, right? A survivor comes out of the life. It's called the life of human trafficking. And they usually, most of them have to go to a detox place. We're not a detox location. From there, they go to a transitional place. And they usually are there for, let's say, 30 to 90 days. We're not a transitional place. From there, then they decide if they want to go to a long-term rehabilitation facility. And that's where Glory House of Miami comes in.
As you can imagine, producing this wonderful program, Action for Life, it costs a great deal of money. We're going to need your help. So if you would like to donate to keep this good news program on the air, please go to your computer, your cell phone, actionforlife.net. Thought for the day. I hope that all of you belong to a Christian community. Going to church is extremely important. Why? Because we need the support of other people in order for us to live a good Christian life. Christianity is a community religion. Please worship in your church this weekend. Okay, so you're telling me that they can stay from 1 to 2 years.
Correct.
Right. Now,
Correct.
I understand, you talked about the spiritual healing, the emotional healing, the physical healing. How do you then prepare them to leave Glory House?
Well, that's where life skills come in. We teach them, how to handle their finances. We teach them, cooking. A lot of them, they don't know how to cook. They don't even know how to do, some of them, they don't even know how to do laundry. A lot of them haven't finished their high school. So we encourage them to finish their GED. We have goals that we set for them every quarter, every 3 months. And we say, okay, let's put some things that you have on your heart and let's take it 3 months at a time and let's walk with you. And so that those goals can become a reality. And a lot of the ladies that have left our program, they've gotten their GEDs, they've gotten their certified nursing degree. We have a survivor that moved with her 3 children. She bought a home just now for the first time. She didn't know how to handle, how to handle money. She didn't know how to handle buying a house. She remodeled the house. She's working now. She's doing wonderful. So we teach them life skills at every level of them being with us.
That's just fantastic. That's fantastic that you're able to, I guess, you graduate them, they graduate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, some of them stay with us for 3 months. They can't make, some of them make it a year. Not everybody stays a year to 2 years because we're very structured, because they've never had structure. So we give them structure. And so a lot of them, because we deal with adults, we deal 18 plus. So, if we tell a 25-year-old you have to be in bed by 10 o'clock, they don't really like that because they've lived a life. I can do whatever, I can almost do whatever I want. So they, sometimes they can confuse us controlling them, but it is so that we have order and peace in the home.
So you will tell them if they don't want to play by the rules, you say, hey, you got to go.
Yes, we'll find you another place. We'll find you another place. It's very hard. There's only 177 residential facilities in the whole United States.
In the whole United States?
Yes, 177. And not all of them are long-term. Some of them are temporary, like 90 days. Some of them are long-term, and some of them are independent living, where they still have a community, but they pretty much, they go to work, they live normal lives, but they're in a community so they don't get in trouble and they don't, go backwards in their lives.
I want to ask you, you talked about a woman, she has 3 children. Do any of them come to you that have children?
Yes, they do. And unfortunately, that one, we have a drop-in center in downtown Miami where we offer the same services that we offer in our home. We offer at the drop-in center. We have, everything: medical help, financial help, clothing, psychological help, everything that they need, but they don't live with us. Those women come with children, and we're not equipped to have children. Mm-hmm. So they go to the drop-in center. Now, there are homes throughout the United States, very few, I think the percentage is very, very low, that take moms with children, and I think the limit is 2.
Gee, it's just so heartbreaking to think that children were born under those horrid circumstances. Their mothers being used, abused, impregnated by men they did not even know, and living sometimes, in the most degrading of circumstances, and little children are born into that. It's so sad.
Yeah, it is. We have a story right now, Father, that we have a young lady that we've been working for 4 years, and her mom trafficked her. Her and her mom would go out and they call it tricks, right? They would go together. And she had a beautiful, beautiful little girl a couple of years ago. And she just went back to the life a couple of weeks ago. And guess what we're doing? We have her little 2-year-old, and we're working with DCF to see if we can adopt her to a Christian family, because she wanted, that's what she chose.
So Glory House is helping to facilitate an adoption?
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's just fantastic. I'm so impressed with what you're telling me. First of all, I'm saddened that we have to do a program like this, and that we have to have a place like Glory House. But there's another part of me that says to me, this is like resurrection for some people. They're literally dead, and you're bringing them back to life. And it's a wonderful name, Glory House. And I suppose it means, God's glory. Give glory to God for what you people are doing. You're really putting the gospel of life into action. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you'll be generous to an organization like Glory House of Miami. You see the great things that they're doing. Also, I hope that you'll pray for the people who run Glory House. Betty, you heard what she's telling us and some of the great things they're doing for people that come there and they find a new life. We hear, so much about slavery in the past, but it's not in the past. Maybe it's a different kind of slavery, maybe a different kind of population, but we do have the degradation of human beings taking place in our own country. Oftentimes they fall into this because they were duped. They fell into it. And we as Christians have an obligation to help lift them out of the degradation and let them be filled with the glory of God, because we're made in God's image and in God's likeness. So, Betty, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing. I hope that someday we'll get a chance to shake hands, and when the coronavirus is over, maybe we could do a program with you right here in Naples, Florida, or I'll come to Miami.
You're more than welcome anytime, Father.
I'd love to do a real tour of Glory House with our whole staff. In the meantime, I always end this show by saying, I'm for action, and I hope you are too. We would like to thank our generous sponsors for their wonderful support. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Action for Life. I'm for action, and I hope you are too. I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which talks about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the big G, and the little g, all the good things that people are doing to put the gospel of life into action. So please join us for the next episode of Action for Life.